Good evening. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey, and today is Tuesday, early Tuesday morning. The time is 1:36 a.m. The date is October 6, 2020. Wow. I'm going to talk about um, I'm going to talk about some things. It's all about human nature. I'm reading a book. The name of the author is David Goggins. He was a Navy SEAL. He's retired. He's 45 years old, about. I recently learned of him maybe no more than a week ago. And I found another video of him this morning that I watched. And I found his story really interesting. He'd been through a lot of traumas, and he overcame them, and at least learned how to manage his weaknesses. And my watching more interviews of him today compelled me to buy his book. The name of his book is Can't Hurt Me. And I was thinking about this, was it 24 hours ago? I said, I want to go um, the next day and buy the book. And so when I got up yesterday, I did call the bookstore, and they said they had a whole lot of his books. And so I said, what hours are they there? And then they gave me the store hours. And I said, I'm on my way. Yeah, I felt compelled to get it. I liked how he came across during the interviews. With a, with I mean, some of the interviews were excellent, and they just had a good rapport with each other. But I could also tell, you know, just because someone gets through something, they how do you say, they're not to be messed with still, you know. Um, well, I bought the book, and I started reading it, and it has me in nerves. I'm shaky. I read the intro and the first chapter. It's pretty fast reading. And I read what I wanted to read for the evening. Yes, good evening, guys. Good evening. Yeah, I didn't see the message quick enough to get the name. I just saw that something printed up on the screen. Yes, good evening, or I should say good morning. Yeah, I feel I need to talk. Yes, good morning. I just reposition myself so I can see the um, the chat better. Um, yeah, I see that upon reading it. I feel very, very shaky, very. And I said to myself, let me just calm down a little bit and maybe just try to unwind and just look at something else more positive before I go to sleep. Something to set your mind so you could have a restful night's sleep. And then I said to myself, because I also put a candle on, which you can see now. Yeah, this is a candle that I had lit just to relax me a little bit. And then I said to myself, let me do a video. So that's why I'm doing the video, to help cope with my emotions right now. And when I was thinking, as I was reading the book, it came to me that, see, every rose should have a thorn. And why is that? See, I was learning through reading, the chapters that I read about human nature. See, when someone feels that you are open, and when I say open, meaning that there will be no restrictions to allow someone from out, other than yourself, inside something of yours, or touching, just in your space. And when some people who don't want to deal with themselves, they deal with others in different forms. They may, uh, it may be reflected in bullying, teasing, and the like, name calling. These are ways that people who feel that your door is open, so to speak, meaning that there is no inhibitions, no restrictions upon that other subject, and that usually someone that perpetrator is the one that is feeling vulnerable, and because they can't deal with themselves, they reach out to something else to act out what's happening internally in themselves. Or sometimes it's just a curiosity. Let's say you're in a mindset of curiosity. Oh, okay. Good morning, Camp. Yeah, so let's say, like, okay, someone is happy, and so they want to reflect what's happening to them inside. So they might be in a mood of externalizing happiness, or you know inquisitiveness. But this video would be about those who are dealing with their own demons. And when people have demons, they act out what's happening internally in themselves. And the book that I'm reading now, by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's a retired Naval SEAL. To be a Naval SEAL, you have to be physically very fit, but also mentally fit to survive it, to pass it. It's not just the physical. That is a big component, but it's a mind thing. And so I just got to, as I said, I just got the book this afternoon, and I wanted to start reading it right away. And my whole body is shaking, shaking. And I think I'm shaking as I'm reading it because it's, well, the author is black. It's a black man. And I know that it's not a lot of black authors in this country. and that the nature of the United States of America um, puts an extra burden on some of its citizens because historically we were those roses. We were praised, or highly prized, I should say, prized. And those roses did not have thorns. And so blacks in America were violated and trampled on. And the legacy um, is just perpetuating itself and also resulted in abusing oneself, abusing one's community that they come out from. The first chapter that I read, it discussed his childhood, and his childhood was an interesting dynamics. His mom was much younger than the father, about 17 years younger than the father. I think they married. No, I'm sorry, they didn't marry. That was part of the problem too. Um, they became a couple and they lived together and they had two children together. She came from what seemed to be a so-called normal middle class family, and the father, um, a controller. And I think people who are controllers, they seek out, well, they disguise their intent, and it's because of their insecurities. And his insecurity preyed on someone much younger. And again, back in um, in the age of the parents, that era, women were basically what they call housewives. They didn't really marry. They didn't work outside the home, and the man worked. Uh, and she was trusting. She wasn't raised in a family dynamics that was drama. It was a trusting environment. So she trusted this older man. And he used his financial abilities to control her. So she didn't have to work or go out the home. And he uh, showed his dominance over her. And even when, they had children, two kids, and he showed that authority over the kids. And the younger one, which is the author of the book that I'm reading, uh, was very protective over the mother. So all of them, all the kids and the mother, would get beaten all the time. And so I'm reading the account of all these things happening to him. And I felt almost like I was living the story of this young man. Even though, like, I was not being orphan. I could count it on one hand, but it was a lot of intimidation. Um, Sometimes it's not the quantity, but your mind, your mindset. And sometimes people don't have to do a lot especially if you have a sensitive nature, to harm you. Like let's say a chair has a fracture, and someone who's, let's say, very very heavy sit on it the wrong way, it's just going to break. even though it's only had that one episode. So some people are like that. So I ask myself, like, even though I'm just reading the book, I feel as if I'm reliving a drama. And even though it's something from the past, you can get triggered and triggered by reading somebody else's pain. And that's what I feel. But I have hope in this book because the book is designed not to be a pity party upon reading it. It's actually to ex- he's self he's exposing his vulnerability because he could because he overcame these episodes, or at least manage the things that occurred to him as a child. So he's to explore, to reveal and then show the healing process. And that's why I got the book. He was very, very, his interviews were spectacular. But it's really something. I could look at the book cover and see a person who has been abused can often sense and see the inner pain of that individual. Because see, it's like looking at a mirror. It's really weird I'm saying this, but it's something. Um, he overcame a lot, and his thing is about programming. That see, we're programmed to think certain ways based on experiences, life experiences, and it's about addressing those things at faith. So, in the beginning of this book, he said, get pen and paper because his assignment is write down those challenges in your life, and then through this book, you're going to discover ways of dealing with them. But it's a progress. It's really self examination. So it's really something that here I just read the first chapter, and it's hard to swallow because it's like uh, anxiety, real anxiety. I've never really felt this type of anxiety reading a book. It's hitting close to home, and I started thinking when I devised the title of this live stream about every rose should have a thorn. I wrote it so because I started analyzing some of the things in my life, and I had made the mistake growing up that by being passive or non-reactive or you know that it's a it's it will protect you from certain harms. See, maybe initially that may have helped, but see, if you carry out those belief system into adulthood, you can become a victim of life, and you're going to be that rose without a thorn. And so in life, especially if you look like a rose, see, we're all roses. Every human being is born a rose, and then life could strip you of your thorns, and so you become an open target. Because see, we mirror each other. We mirror our experiences upon one another. And the more I thought about my life, the more and more I started thinking that certain approaches that I've done in my life were harmful and not realizing it. And then I started also thinking about nature as a teacher. And I was talking to someone, it was about 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago, I met someone at the park. And they practice like metaphysical stuff and meditation. And there's a belief like if you need energy and if you're in nature, that you could place your hand on a tree, but before you even touch that tree, to ask permission first of that tree, of what you like to do, and the intent behind what you want to do before you're doing it. And I guess you listen also with, with your spiritual ears. If you sense that it's okay, or if something says to you no, then, of course you don't do it. And it was that concept that put in my memory as I'm reading the book, and then thinking about doing this live stream, that see, even nature has its limits. See, we often, like, I first was thinking about like I used to watch a lot of television, and sometimes you see these like a house on the prairie, and you see these little kids like just running on the grass, and they look like they're having fun, and it's supposed to be enjoyable to watch this, and this is supposed to be positive behavior to do. But I learned something through someone who knows about metaphysics, paranormal, etc., that whole genre. Uh, they had gone to Brazil in Latin America, and there were people who practice certain rituals, and it utilizes nature, the forces of nature, um, to do certain things. And this person is telling me this story, had visited Brazil and was invited to participate. She's not of that culture, and so she's a little awkward with the language. She doesn't really know the language very well and the culture very well. She doesn't know very well, and she made the mistake of walking on some, either she touched a plant or something. And this person loves nature, but they knew what she was doing, and they stopped her. They were yelling at her and things like that. See, what was going on was that, see, there are some people, practitioners, who know how to communicate with plants and plants and nature, and it has to be respected. And you cannot just touch or even walk on the grass. There are rules of conduct. And what we take for granted in the what they call the Western world or the Anglo-Saxon world, where people just do anything to nature. But these people understood nature. And so, why I mentioned that in this live stream is that, see, nature, people like nature have boundaries. And nature can be very swift in telling you what it doesn't like. And it can tell you what it doesn't like through earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, tsunamis, and the like. And we start to wonder in nature, wonder in this planet, in this country, why all this natural disasters? Well, don't you think possibly it's because you may have violated certain rules? You know what I'm saying? See, nature is our best teacher. Nature could be your best friend, but it could also be your worst enemy if you violate certain rules. And I'm not any expert. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm analyzing what's happening. I'm I've I'm reading the book by David Goggins called Can't Hurt Me. And certain things that's discussed. Everything about this man's life is about boundaries being violated severely. And that when you don't, if you don't have thorns to protect you, you will always be a victim and trampled on like beautiful flower, like beautiful rose. And so I started thinking about this nature thing because 2 days also, I went to the park and surrounded myself with nature and remembering when I was talking to that person when they're telling me about a tree. We may mirror certain things, and certain things may not be appropriate with the subject you're dealing with. So you have to respect that wall. You have to respect that tree and ask that tree. Talk to the tree even, and tell of its beauty and to thank the tree for the oxygen. Yeah, I now go to nature and I talk to it. I say, thank you for the air that you supply. Thank you for the breeze. And it makes you feel uplifted. And it's reminding me that they have feelings. And that not to run in the field like some wild thing and violate the space of these of nature. It's just very humbling. And if you want to live in life, we have to start developing thorns, or I should say boundaries. See, the thorn in the rose is to visually remind you that you have to be careful with it. Or let's say you have people who come in your home. And there are people who live in beautiful homes, and then when they come over your home, they want to be a smarty pants, do something that violates your home. And what might have been that is because they were externalizing what they feel about you through your home. They could be jealous. You have a lot of people who are jealous of what you have. And you may have less than what they have. but it's something in them that shows lack of respect. See, one thing if what they do to you is what they do to themselves in their own home. But if you've been in their home and you see how they treat their home, you know what I'm saying? So it's not that. So it's not that they don't have training because they treat their home differently. So when you have someone come into your home, it's very appropriate to let them know, very respectfully, what you're not to do or what you should do, whatever is appropriate. So in some cultures, you have to take the shoes off, before you come in the house. The different things. But I see that if you don't have any visible thorns, so to speak, that's when you can become a prey to others who are immature, who may not deserve your friendship. And so that's what this challenge is all about. Because, see, some of us may have had initially thorns develop when they were a small rose, and in their development, the thorns were forcibly removed. And so that's also what happened to the author of the book by David Goggins. See, we all started off perfect. Our souls are perfect. But this living on this planet is a challenge. And I noticed that when us being on this planet, just do you notice that, see, it doesn't matter what race you are. Like now, this individual is a black person living in America. But see, things that happen to him could really happen to any individual because there was domestic abuse. And domestic abuse happens in every demographics. But it's just reminding me about the necessity in life to develop thorns. And as you grow with the thorns, with roses, don't you notice that the stems of the roses get thicker and stronger? So it takes time to develop, but it's the thorn that helps develop you. So that's basically what I want to talk about. That this is a life's journey, and we walk around, and people are mirroring one another. They're looking at their own reflection, and it is traumatizing them and causing many of us to lash out. I truly believe now that this truly is a prison planet because we are all acting as, how you say it, that we act traumatized. It's just in some communities it's not as, how you say, it's more camouflaged. But when the pressure comes on, that's when it really manifests. I mean, just look at the U.S. This is one of the richest countries in the world. But look at all the turmoil. Look at all the infighting. And so there's no avoidance. So in the book, they discuss or he will be discussing. Again, I just read one chapter that it's going to be like a personal journey of mastery, and it's not the mastery of the physiology, because right now, my body is really feeling the anxiety. It's triggering something in me because of this man's own traumas as a child and into his latter, his teens, and him developing into a Navy SEAL. It's a developmental process, and see, sometimes we could do things physically to make us stronger, but it's not just the mind. It's not just the body, but it's the mind. It is the mind that he wants to teach us to overcome. See, I always thought the problem was something physical, that if I were bigger or stronger looking. But no, it is the mind. And that's why I got this book by David Goggins. And here, just reading the book is causing this anxiety. And I'm hoping to finish the book and master the mind so that when a possible trigger happens, that I could be rest assured in my own personal confidence that, as he says in this book, can't hurt me. People who feel vulnerable feel like they're going to be hurt. So we in this planet, we're all walking around feeling hurt. But in mastering our thoughts, our mind can deliver us from this inner torment we call life. So I thank the author, David Goggins, for the book. And I see this is going to be some journey in reading this. I just got through the first chapter. Yeah, I thank you in advance. And yes, in life, when you don't have the thorns, people mistaking you as an open field to trot upon. But you can always remind yourself that when you go out there, you have your armor so that you could fight the good fight of personal, mental warfare. I thank you again. So take care, guys, and I hope this made a lot of sense to you, and I'll keep you posted on how my journey is with this book is going. So yeah, you can do it also. You could overcome your demons by overcoming your mind. Thank you again. So take care and enjoy your evening. Bye bye, guys.